Hi and welcome back. How are you doing? Okay, so this is a slightly more, well, I'd say complicated part actually, because it is. What we're going to be doing is working with just the top part of the leg, and I'm going to start with just this side. So I'm going to hide unselected. Now, what we're going to be doing is quite complex. So, and by quite complex, I mean like not madly complicated, but it's a different way to the way that we normally do things anyway. So I'm going to start with this one, hit F4, and I built these really just as a kind of reference for myself, so I'm going to grow them out, and then I'm going to cap them. So let's go straight in, cap, there we go. Okay, just really so that I know where these are. Now, what I'm going to build on top of these next, and I'm just going to build one, and then I'll copy it across using auto grid as a dummy. Just like so, and I want to get it just in the middle there. Okay, and then go to my front viewport and zoom, just so I can see its axis, and I can grab another copy and just place it there. Okay, so we've got these two control dummies here. Now, over here, what I'm going to need to do is make a sphere, and again using auto grid, I'm just going to build it on this because I'm going to have to use my local, because this is already posed now, and because it's already posed, it's going to take a teeny bit more effort. I mean, I could have built this before posing, I suppose, but really I didn't want to at the time. Now then, I'm just going to get this roughly in the right position and then start increasing its radius just until basically it's hidden inside this, and then I can just do some minor adjustments if I need to, like so. Now I'm going to be quite careful on how I do this. Okay, next, this side here I'll just convert to editable polygon. What I can do is just double click this edge and delete, and that'll leave this little island just floating here. And what I can do is grab this and cap it like that, and that gives us that shape there. Now what I'm going to do is again just make a dummy, and just going to try and work out where the middle is. The good thing is that I can adjust this if I need to, so sometimes using the artist's eye, as you can see, doesn't quite line it up as well as you hoped. Put that there, and then have a look at this. You can see this isn't quite right. There we go. So we've got these two dummies here and here, okay? Now, that dummy's going to get attached to that soon, but what I need to do over here is start building some detail pieces that I'm going to be using. So go back over to my editable poly and do what I did on the other one. So I'm going to wipe out this one. Bam. Well, that really didn't work as well as I hoped. Okay, so I'm going to probably bring that. No, okay, let's go back. There. I think I hit backspace rather than delete. My own fault. Okay, and I'm going to cap that like so. Okay, so that gives us these pieces so far. Now over here, what I want to do is build something that's kind of going to work in with the rest of this. So if I unhide all just for the moment, and I'm going to go down to this, and this is our old detail bolt we made a while ago. I'm going to bring it up to here, click OK, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select bits we need, which you may remember there weren't many, it's just these ones. Hide unselected. Now I want to get that to align with this, and I can sit and fiddle around with it until my eyes go red, but the quickest, simplest way is to do an auto grid dummy. I'm going to just drag it out to the middle of this roughly, Okay, now see this? This I'm going to align with the dummy. And I can also align its orientation. Click OK, and that means I can now get rid of this dummy. Goodbye. Instead, focus on this. Now we can see that this isn't central. Remember the artist's eye that I talk about? We need to use it. I'm going to scale it up. So I'm going to scale up on all three axes. Okay. So about like that. And then just move it around until I'm confident that it's in a good position. Like that, and this will give this a heavy duty reinforced look, which is important. Now I am going to delete the polygon and then attach this. Now, unless I'm very much mistaken, which I know I'm not, there isn't really enough for me to border and bridge like that if you look at twists. But if I come out, you can see that it's not a bad twist. Okay, there's no especially big errors going on in there. Now what I'm going to have to do is do some repairing of edges. So I'm going to go into this one, this one, this one. I don't think I need to go much further down. I might take this one as well. And we'll do some chamfering, but just a very small one. It's quite a big piece, so it will let us do small chamfers. And remember, if you have problems, just Control Z and do it again. There we go, just a little chamfer. Like that. Okay, that's not bad. Now, I think what I'd like to do is put a small row of bolts around the outside as well. So I'm going to unhide all. And that will allow me to come down here like so. And I think this one's a fairly nice one. So what else we have? I've been using this one quite a bit as well actually, so I'll use this one I think. So what I'm going to do is get my object paint and just edit my list. I'm going to add my selected to my list. I'm going to paint on selected objects, and I'm going to paint with objects in my list. Okay, so now if I come in nice and close, I'll just select this. There we are. Now, what I'm going to do is use this just to paint on it, and I can go like this. Now we can see that's too big, so I'm going to drop this down to 60, I think. That's slightly better. Delete it off though. It's a little bit big. Not bad, still seems a little bit big. I'll drop it down to 50. And let's have a look. So one goes in there. 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 And then in between. So one there. One there. One there. And one there. Okay, yeah, that seems to work okay, so I'm going to right click out, hit F4 again, and what I can do here, I think, so I'll close this, is I'm going to take this edge here, see that little one, I'm going to see if I can ring it, there we go, I can, Control select by polygon, and I'm going to extrude that by an amount of 0. Click tick, and then what I can do is just bring that in local, straight in, there we go. Now what I can do is come in nice and close down here and just select this and this, spin round, this and this. There we go. Okay, let's ring these. not bring these. Silly old me. I meant loop these. And then I want to do a really very small indeed chamfer. That'll give us what's known as a maker's line, or maker's mark, or whatever. There we go, and click tick. Okay, hit F4, and you can now see I've got this edge going around it. Got a little bit of trashing going on inside this, but hopefully a mesh smooth will fix that up soon. Now I want to attach that. Let's go around and attach them all like this. There we go. Okay, that's working out quite well. Now, let's have a look inside this. There is quite a lot of duff polygons going on in here. I'll just let autosave do its thing. I know these curve underneath, which is one of the issues, but you know. Look at it. Shrink, detach, and attach it just as this object here. And I've got it in local, so that's not a problem. Let's bring that out. And that gives us these, which are not in a great shape, to be honest. So let's have a look. I mean, some are in better condition than others, obviously. However, I think the best way to deal with this is not to even close it, really. Let's see, so I'm going to grab this border here. Then I'm going to grab the inside border and just cap it. Should make it a lot flatter. And then I need to get this piece just bring it in to round about there. There we go. Now I can attach the two together. And that's done. There we go. Alright, so we have this end detail piece here, which is exactly what I was heading towards, and it does give it a nice degree of solidity. What I'm going to do next is basically isolate these parts, so hide unselected, and I want to make a copy of this as well, along with its attached piece. Ah yes, local, forgot about that. It moves them both on their individual local axes, you see. Now, over here then, actually I'll just put that one in later. Over here what I'm going to do is align that to this part here. So in order to do that, I'm just going to make a dummy, and then align that to the dummy. And then I can just move this until it's in the right position. Now I just move that using view. I don't want to do that, I want to use local. Get it halfway in. Right, that looks okay. Now this one, I'm going to align back to here. Then I can just bring it straight down like that. Job done. Okay, don't worry, they're both different sizes, by the way, that isn't remotely important. These are just dummies, remember. Okay, now, That's where it gets interesting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple of things I need here. So firstly, if I just look at my pelvis here, I'm going to effect pivot only, center to object, effect pivot only off. Just look at that. And I think I'm going to bring this down to around about here, so it's just in between the two boxes. There we go. And then go back to here again. Okay, that looks good. Now we've got to adjust it in my left viewport a little bit. Bring it back to about there. And this is just basically our control pivot for the entire piece of pelvis, so that we can kind of move it up or down whenever we need to and stuff. Right. Now I need to do some linking, so I'm going to take this and link it to this ball. Do the same with this one. Like that. These I'm going to link to this. Like so. Okay, so the idea is now that with this, I move it, those bits will move, these bits will not move. Right, I'm going to be attaching the actual legs IK mechanism to this as well, but obviously that's invisible at the minute, so I don't need to worry about that. Now if I move these, you'll see that the pivots, the dummies move with it, so that's good. So now what I want to do is make this look at. So assign controller, rotation, and I'm going to put a look at constraint, and I want this to look at this. Now the first thing you'll notice is, oh well, that's gone a bit wrong. That's okay, we can fix it, watch. Just need to basically get the correct look at axis, like so. See, it's looking at it on the Z axis. So now, if I come out of this, if this goes up or down, okay, that moves. Now, I'm going to do the same again with this side. So, rotation, assign controller, look at that one. Look at constraint, set it to the Z, and flip it. Okay. Now they're both looking at the correct thing. Now, what I need to do is, if you remember an earlier 3D Palace tutorial, the crux. Now then, I might actually have an image of it knocking around. I'll just have a quick look. Isn't this great when I stop what I'm doing and just try and find an old image of something. There we are. Now, let's see if I can get a decent picture. Okay, this is the crux, right? This is a piece that I made, God, it must be 7 years ago. Now, the hips, if you look, okay, hips are always fairly standard, but I'll zoom in as best I can. You can see that we've got these control pistons here. There's 4, not 2, okay, and they control the movement of the leg. But there was nothing to actually guard the leg. I thought for some time, well, I could use a cloth sim over the top of it, and that would work. But cloth sims, flex and things like that can be a real bugger to work out in real time, especially 7 years ago. It was a lot harder. So thinking about it, I came up with a newer, better solution. Okay, and it means that we don't have to have all these bloody pistons knocking around all the time. It's a bit more of a cheat, really, I suppose, but not much. So what we do is we go down to our creating tool, and let me see, you go and get a hose like that. Now the hose is a dynamic object, so what I can do is bind it to object pivots. So the top would become this, the bottom would become this. Okay, so at this point, this hose is now bound to this. Now, tension. I need to drop that right down to no more than about 2 on each. Okay, and the bottom object's wrong, it should be this. There we go, and now you can kind of see, I think, what I'm getting at. Because now, if I do this, you'll see our flexi hose starts to move. Now, I can adjust the tension rate on this. 50 is too much. 20, however, isn't. Okay. And let me see for the flex. I can change the diameter, which seems a little bit too high at the minute, to something a bit less, like so. I've got smoothing on. Let's see how many segments this is. 45 seems more than reasonable. And what I could do as well is stick a taper on it, because you can do this sort of thing. And with taper now, what I can do is adjust my amount. It's not going to let me use taper, sadly. I might have to stick an edit poly on top of it. Edit poly. And the good thing is that with the edit poly on top, see, it won't move yet, but if I drop it down to hose, and then in hose, pin my stack. It used to let me do this, why isn't it letting me anymore? It's just being damned awkward, so I'm going to kill off the edit poly modifier I've stuck on it then. We'll just use it the way it is. I don't know why, but sometimes it does this. It can be a teeny bit annoying. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the radius. Sorry, diameter. Let's give us a radius option. So I can bring it in as thick or as thin as I want. Now obviously the thicker it is, the better it's going to look. The only thing to pay attention to there is that our dummy, which is here, okay, and we will need to adjust this obviously in local mode, will need to be more inside the object like that. Same goes with the dummy on this side. There. Okay. So now we have a flexing rig going on here. Now, over here on this side, rather than having to obviously try and remember, go in view mode. There we go. What I can do is just copy this. So now I've got a copy of this hose, and for my objects I just need to change the bindings on them. Let me have a look. Now then, these could be a bit twisted by the looks of things. Let's see if I can make it a free hose, bind to object pivots. I'll just change the pivots on these a bit. So that one, and then that one. Still a little bit messy, but then again I think there could be some twisting going on here. This does happen. So what I'm going to do is make sure I've got my dummy selected. Let's see if I can do anything to untwist it or twist it. Or is it just going to be awkward? I think the best thing to do is probably to start with a new one. These things can be incredibly temperamental, by the way, so don't worry if you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is a bit of a pain in the ass. Top, bottom, tension 0, 0. A bit better. I'm going to reduce my radius. I do apologise for all the coughing. Just going to get the width correct on this. Now on this one, our diameter was 94.5. So this one should also be 94.5 really. That's better. Now I can grab this dummy and make sure it's in local. To move it in. And this one, let's move it in. Now I can change our tension. So our tension on this one was 20, so there's no reason why this one shouldn't be as well. Might be a bit much for that one. Yeah, the tension seems to be damaging the object on that side. Let's have a look and see how it looks. I think it's because this one's actually a little bit lower than the other one. Now what I'm going to do is, let's see, I need to parent these balls to our upper legs, and that means that when I move this leg now, in my view screen, it will actually move it up and into the right area, which is good. And I'm going to change my depth on this to, it was -8, so I'm going to change this one to -8 as well. There we are. Shame I can't adjust the tension on this. It seems to have gone a bit weird on me. Never mind, I'll look it up later on and find out what it is I'm doing wrong there, because I can't be arsed at the moment. Now, if I unhide all, you'll notice now that we have these lovely squeezy fellas going on here, and I want to just adjust this leg so it's at the right height, because at the minute it really isn't. There we go. Turn the grid off. And I'm going to just adjust his foot forward a bit. There we go. Nice and nice. Perspective mode. Now then, I should be able to bob this up and down. Now, at the minute I can't because I don't have a control ring on this, so I think what I'm going to have to do is build a controller on this. So shapes, circle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this out. Okay, and this is hip control. Like so. And then Control V just to make a copy. And inside that we will have second controller. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bind the hip to, you see the first one, so the hip is going to get bound to here. Now the upper legs, this one and this one, are going to get bound to that one there, so we get bound to that. Okay, so these two now can move individual of each other. So now we can relax down or up if we need to. And at the same time we can select and link, we see this one to this one. So if we move this one, this is our main controller, right, and everything moves, see? But if we move this one, can adjust the height of the hip in the controller. Capiche? Hopefully you're getting there. Right, now what I'm going to do is obviously colour these fellas, because they're not the right colour at the minute for what I need. So, that one. Okay, and because it's quite important, I need to make sure these are non-renderable. So, object properties and not renderable. Okay, so that gives us a lot more control over this, and the good thing is that, I mean, you can start like really tipping things around and stuff. Like that. If I turn off angle snap, which is going to be a better idea, what you can see is I can move the outer ring, but at the same time move the inner ring. Okay, which makes a big old difference. See? Okay, so with that done, I can now move on to detailing the pelvis, because obviously I wanted to wait while I got this bit done. The good thing is that it won't impact upon the detailing at all. Basically, as long as these parts remain linked, the whole thing will work still. So, hopefully you found that quite useful. I hope you have. And I'll see you in the next part. Until then, TT, goodbye, FN.